Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Kev Capital Chart of the Day series, where we spend 5 minutes or less pulling back the curtain on some of the most important charts in the crypto market and what it means for you. Before we jump into the video, if my voice sounds weird, forgive me. I am very under the weather at the moment, have been for a few days, and my entire upper body is super congested, so I may be pausing or sounding a little weirder than normal, but just bear with me. With that said, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin versus gold chart today. I think this is a very important chart to keep an eye on, obviously, given the fact that gold is going through the rally that it's going through, and Bitcoin is just losing value against gold so rapidly, almost at a pace that we haven't seen since really just the 2022 bear market. But there is some signs that I want to point out to you that show some potential bottoming areas that we could be looking at here in the future, and what I'll be watching really close. So let's jump into that. So as you can see here, Bitcoin did form a higher time frame head and shoulders against gold. Now, it's not perfect, right? Your neckline is not perfectly even, but overall you can pretty much define this as a head and shoulders pattern on the weekly time frame. Now, if we were to measure that neckline, right, and then obviously measure the move from the top of the head to the bottom of the neckline towards the middle here, even though it's uneven, it gets you a measured move down to about this 310 million to 295 million to 272 million, and then also this channel of support also if need be. Now, it makes sense too, because you lost your zero point 0.5 fib. This measured move seems to be playing out, and this is massive support down here. So this is where I would expect Bitcoin to attempt to find a bottom against gold. I do think at this point, given that Bitcoin is kind of in no man's land against gold on this chart, that you have pretty thin air down to these levels. And that's if gold goes on one more big rally to the upside, and Bitcoin obviously underperforms gold. So with that being said, this is a big range of support. You could all keep that on your charts. Obviously, you have the highs here from 2017 also that I wanted to mark off. And then even here, you have the lows from 2021. Okay, right? Major lows from 2021 reside in this golden pocket area. So not only do you have the 2017 highs, you have the 2021 lows. Okay, so there's a lot of support in here, and it is the measured move target of this head and shoulders. So measured move targets don't have to play out every single time perfectly, but it is the measured move. So theoretically, that's where this chart should go, and it matches up with all of that confluence again, right? 2017 highs, 2021 lows, measured move target, golden pocket 703, 786, major structured support. So I think it really makes sense that Bitcoin does end up in that range, and at that point Bitcoin becomes extremely attractive against gold. And I think anyone should definitely take a hard look at Bitcoin, maybe even slightly before that range too, depending on your strategy. Now, if we were to just look at some indicators real quick, this is just classic example of total capitulation, right? Look at the money flow on the weekly time frame. I mean, this is just, it doesn't get any straighter out than that, right? I mean, this is just parabolically leaving Bitcoin and going over into gold. This is what bear markets look like against an asset, right? You've seen this maybe before in the past, not quite like this, but about pretty much in the 2022 bear market, it was similar, right? You saw similar type of money flow. So again, you're kind of mimicking that at the moment, so that's why we're keeping an eye on this chart. And as it goes for the weekly RSI, you can see where it currently is, right? You have a low here, a low here, a low here. Somewhere down in here, I would imagine that the Bitcoin weekly RSI could find some type of low, and that would also coincide with hitting those major support zones. So definitely keeping a close eye on that. And weekly LMACD momentum is just brutal to the downside, right? There's a high probability you probably come down to this zone that you have visited before, right? It makes perfect sense at this point. Somewhere in here where Bitcoin has found lows before on its momentum, okay? So I don't know if it goes down that far, but it's possible at this point. We have bottomed out there before in the past, maybe even somewhere potentially right here too, right, where you have found potentially a low in the past. So something to keep an eye on there. And whale money flow is actually not doing too bad at the moment, right? It is in the process of trying to form some type of bottom, but still very low. Nothing to really blink at the moment. This just goes to show that you topped out on whale money flow back in December of 2024, and it's been in a downtrend against gold ever since. But nevertheless, you are in the bottom range. Typically, you see reversals out of here. It just could take time. So we'll keep an eye on that. But with that being said, no reason to dive too much further into this. I think the indicators are always great to watch, and I watch them very closely. Money flow, momentum, to me, those are the most important things. But overall, price structure and price action will lead. And I do believe that based off this measured move and based off the confluences of support and based off where Bitcoin versus gold is now, sitting in kind of thin air, it makes sense for us to potentially come down and test these levels. And if it does, I find that Bitcoin would be very attractive in that zone. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe and comment below if you have any questions. With that being said, I hope you all have a nice day. Peace out.